Hello and welcome to another edition of the Get Growing Weekly Work Session with Get Oiling. I'm Coach Ashley, joined today by founder of Get Oiling, Greg Kilwine. Hey, Greg.
Hey everyone, I'm really glad you're here today.
We're so excited to have you here and to also have Colin and Julie from our team. What's up, you guys? Good to have you here too.
Hello.
How's it going, everyone?
We were just discussing how many tabs you could have open in your browser before it goes kaput. Let us know in the comments, what does that look like for you? We're not judging, promise, because I bet you there's someone on this call right now whose face you can see who has more. All right. So today, you guys, we are going to be talking about how we can not overwhelm ourselves, much like we can overload the active memory on our devices. We can talk about how we can not overwhelm ourselves when we're serving our clients and our customers in a one-on-one capacity. This is a really important thing to know how to do and get a handle on as early as possible in your business, because this is a thing that is difficult to scale. And that thing is how you share your one-on-one time. So today we're going to talk about how you can use Get Oiling to really make that process run smoothly, to take as little time as possible outside, of course, of the time that you should be spending with your clients and your customers. And of course, we'll get all of that tied up in a pretty little bow where you'll understand exactly how to walk away from today's call and create these systems that will work for you to add more time back into the work that you do, or just to give yourself time to go spend doing other things that you like that's not working on your business. So welcome. We're excited to have you. We would love for you to come into the chat and let us know where you're coming in from. We're always excited to have you here. We are live every Thursday at noon Eastern US time. This is an opportunity to get together with Young Living brand partners from all over the world who are looking to work smarter, to share smarter, and to do so in ways that kick out the hustle, allow you to take back more of your time, and to ultimately get more out of your business. So welcome. We're so excited to have you here. And I'm not even going to comment on the number of tabs. You guys just keep that in the chat because this is going to become a whole other conversation if we do that. All right. So welcome again. We're going to go ahead and pop out of video so that we can get into our slides. Keep that conversation going there. We, again, are just so excited to be here with you today. It's our favorite day of the week. It's an opportunity to get together and hang out with you incredible people in our global community. So today, as promised, we are going to get into systems and workflows that support coaching call series. Now, what this is essentially a way for you to automate as much as possible and streamline how you have care calls, for instance, with your customers, because we should be, especially up until the point where someone falls in love with Young Living, we should be in regular contact, helping our customers to discover products and use them in ways that are important to reaching their goals so that they find products that they never want to let go of. Because once somebody finds something from Young Living that they love, they tend to stick around. And obviously that's good for them and it's good for business. So the reason why most of us don't do this is because it can be extraordinarily time consuming and difficult to keep up with. So we're going to talk about how we can simplify this here today. So what we'll talk about first are what it looks like to offer a one-on-one call series using Get Oiling. We'll talk about care calls for customers specifically, but we will also give some use case examples and schematic for how you can offer one-on-one call packages for clients. So those of you who maybe sell coaching, series of coaching calls, maybe you offer a bundle of AFT sessions, whatever that might look like for you. If you sell packages of your time on calls, this is something you're going to want to pay attention to as well. We'll get into what systems and workflows look like in Get Oiling. And then, of course, as always, we are here for live help and Q&A. So if you came here today with questions, whether it pertains to today's topic or not, please do here on Zoom, add that to the Q&A. And if you're not here on Zoom, you're watching this in our Facebook group, or perhaps you are watching a replay on our YouTube channel, you can go to getoiling.com/weeklyworksession to sign up to get onto these calls. They're totally free. You do not have to be a Get Oiling customer to hop on and tune in. It's actually a great opportunity for you to find out whether Get Oiling might be right for you if you aren't with us yet. So make sure that you check that out so that you don't miss the opportunity to get live help, get your questions answered on a call like this one. Now, if you would like to set aside dedicated time and space on a call like this one in the future, go to getoiling.com/website review. This is where you can fill out a brief form and then pick an upcoming Thursday, noon Eastern US time slot, one of our future live work sessions like this one, where in the second half of the call, we can sit down for a longer period of time and work on whatever project you need help with, whether that's getting started all the way through to building a potentially somewhat complicated system like the latter of which we will be speaking about today. So if you are wanting to get any of this done and you don't want your hands in it, you'd like someone else to do it for you, you can also go to getoiling.com/concierge to learn more about our incredible team. You can even point them in the direction of this training and say, I want that system that Ashley talked about today. Can you build it for me? They'll give you a quote. They'll customize it to you. They'll make a beautiful website, whatever it is that you would like. So head over there and learn more about the team and how they can help you. Now, today, what we are talking about simplifying is the act of giving away or selling our one-on-one time. Our time, as we all know, is the most valuable thing we possess. And thus, it is the most valuable thing that we can offer, whether that is a value add, such as in serving our Young Living customers, or it is something that you are offering for purchase like you would for clients. Now, how you manage the giving away or the selling of that one-on-one time can absolutely make or break your business. You can burn yourself out, or you can operate at peak capacity, right? So whether you're offering care calls for your customers or selling packages of one-on-one sessions for your clients, we need a system that allows us to be able to see where that client or customer is in the process of their calls with us, streamlines how we share information with them. This could be before or after calls, and then automates as much of the process as is possible, right? Because again, we already are giving away our one-on-one time. We can't get that back. We can't give it to more than one person at once, but we can slim down the amount of time and effort that goes into the giving away of that time. All right, so let's go ahead and begin by mapping out the journey, right? This is your sort of this is our conceptual workflow, okay? So the first thing that we need to do is actually map out what happens first and then next and then so on, right? And then we'll dig into the features that we'll use to accomplish the setup and running of the system and Get Oiling. And we'll walk through an order of operations or the way to best set things up in your system. So the first example that we will go through today is a journey of care calls. Now, I want to give you a little bit of context of where this sits in your business. Ideally, our care call journey should begin before someone even becomes a Young Living customer. What we do is we offer our time on a consultative basis to learn more about somebody's goals, position ourselves as someone who is a partner in helping them to achieve them, and then, of course, ultimately sitting down with them in a now very receptive environment for them to learn what they can put in their first order and start using to achieve those goals that they've shared with us, right? Now, not all life and all business runs ideally all the time. And I am positive that you and many of us here today probably have some folks that you did not get started in that way, right? You probably have some people who maybe have not had a call like that with you at all. And that's okay. This is a journey that we can initiate at any point. And one that we can keep going. Now, I've shared with you now where it starts. It starts with wherever you are with that customer right now, if they aren't already in a series of care calls with you. Now, where does it go? A care call journey, so someone who's going to have a series with calls with you, is going to begin with a problem and end with some solution that is tied to a product they never want to be without, that they get from Young Living. That we like to call a hero product. So the culmination of our care call journey is the discovery and the falling in love with at least one hero product. Are we cool? Let me know in the chat. That makes sense? The whole point of these care calls is for you to be present with someone in their initial and ongoing exploration until they find a product with Young Living that they can't live without. Because once somebody finds a product they can't live without from Young Living, they're going to keep buying. And they're going to be more open to other products because they already have this one and they trust this one. So they're bound to trust others. Okay, that's our number one goal with our care call journey. Now, here's how we set this up. The journey outlined is as follows. We're going to share a form, right, with our customer, whether they're brand new, ideally, or they are someone who's been with you for a while. We're going to use this form to gather information from them. What are their wellness goals? What are they looking to achieve? What is standing in their way? What have they tried? What has not worked for them? What has worked for them? What is, depending on the scope of what you want to do here, you can go full wellness with this. You can ask them what kind of foods they eat. You can ask them how good they are at reading labels, right? You can ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable they are navigating a full-on crunchy old school health food store. However it is that you want to set this up, you're going to ask questions so that you can better assess what they need and how you can serve them best, right? So essentially what you're going to do for this step is you're going to write out questions. What do I need to know from them? And that's going to go into a form eventually. We'll get to that in just a moment. Now, after they've filled out this form on your Get Oiling site, they're going to be able to select a time to meet with you on a one-on-one basis via phone or via Zoom. Their preference, your preference, you get to choose how this works out. Of course, then you will meet. You'll discuss the goals that they've shared with you in that form, any action steps you recommend for them, and then you'll help them make sure that their next Young Living order has the products that they need to take those action steps that you've prescribed, right? This initial intake you'll see is actually incredibly important because it allows you to do that homework so you know what products to go and get and grab and be ready to share and how you can recommend that they use them, right? So they fill out a form, they select a time, you meet. Now, if you've been around these trainings for any amount of time, you might know this acronym, BAM-FAM, book a meeting from a meeting. This is gospel and network marketing. BAM-FAM, book a meeting from a meeting. Do not leave this call, this care call, until you have scheduled the next one. You could use my friend Jackie McLaughlin's amazing line, which is, what does follow-up look like for you? And then you let them say 2 weeks, a month, whatever. Or you can just go ahead and suggest a couple of times, and you can go ahead and put them on your calendar. Don't leave this call without commitment. This is where we lose them if we don't take this step. Don't trust that they're going to book with you again. Book them on this call. Now, after the call, you're going to add notes to their contact card and Get Oiling, and you'll send them a quick follow-up email. This is all pretty simple and logical. We talked about this, we talked about that, right? And I'm reiterating what we talked about and sending that in a follow-up email, right? And then optionally, what you can do is 24 to 48 hours before that call you've scheduled, you're going to send them, or in this case, you'll schedule this to send to them with a link to a page with a form so that you can get an update on their goals, their circumstances, the products they've been using, how they've been using them, how much they love them, do they have a product they're in love with yet, etc. Okay, so there's one form for everybody when they start this process, and then we have an ongoing form that's getting a little bit more specific, right, that we can send out before our next call, which is already scheduled, by the way, so that we are always up to date and can really get right down to business. I don't know how many of you have had care calls that have, maybe because this is a friend or a family member, that have turned into 90-minute situations where you're talking about your cousin's baby's thing, or about how they're older or they are tech, not confident and are struggling with ordering with Young Living, or whatever that might look like, right? How many of you have dealt with that before? You had a call that could have been straightforward that went off the rails, right, in some direction that you didn't intend on it going, and it took a lot more time than you needed it to take. If we are using these forms ahead of our calls, we can eliminate those, because we are not just gathering the information we need to be effective, but we're also setting the tone and the expectation for the other person on the other end of the line, that they know that this call is about this. If they're a family member and they want to talk about another thing, it will make sense to them that you might want to talk about that another time, because you have scheduled an appointment in the context of the information they've given you. Okay, so that's our care call journey. Now let's take a look at a visual model of this. What does this look like? So in Get Oiling, they're going to fill out a form on a page. All right. So this is their initial intake form. This is the one where we're asking general wellness questions. We're not asking about what Young Living products they use, because in this case, they might not even be using Young Living products yet, right? We certainly hope not if this is our new customer, right? They're new to Young Living. So we have our initial intake form. There is an email that is sent out to them immediately using a campaign after they have filled out that initial intake form that says, hey, I'm so glad you filled that form out. Here, go book a call, right? They'll also see that page to book a call right after they have filled out that intake form. Now, this system that I'm sharing with you right now, and this is a very simple funnel. We go from intake form to booking page, and there's a campaign that just sort of serves as a net underneath. So in case they lost their internet and didn't get redirected to the booking page, didn't have time to, they needed to confer their schedule with someone else, et cetera. If for whatever reason they don't book right away, that email that gets sent out is going to help make sure that they do. Okay. This system will also work for leads. So you can even use this. I like to call this a wellness consult, right? And we've talked about this on previous calls on our channel, you can check out as well. So this would be like a wellness consult funnel, where someone who is interested in getting a wellness consult with you, whether they are a Young Living customer or not, they can fill out the form, book with you, and have that time and space with you. And of course, on that call, you can either help them set up their next order or set up their first. Okay, now during this call that you have, so they've booked with you, now they're on the call with you, you are going to bam, fam, book a meeting from a meeting. On this call, you're going to decide when you're meeting next, and you're going to, they're not necessarily going to see this, you will use this booking page to book that next call with them. Now you know the date and time of the next time you're meeting. Here's what happens after the call. Now, the automation sequence you see up top here, where an automation might apply a tag and a follow-up plan, this is optional, and I'll talk about this a little bit in the next slide. But importantly, what we're going to do here is we're going to use a saved reply that has a link to a care call form, and this is that secondary intake form. This is the one where we say what products of like Young Living products have you been using? How have you been using them? Along with other general questions that'll be similar to that first intake form. We're going to schedule an email using a saved reply that asks them to fill this out 24 to 48 hours before that call, our next call with them that we have just booked, right? So they do the intake, they book the call. That's all automated. You have a call, you manually book them for the next one, right? And then after the call, you schedule that saved reply to go out 24 to 48 hours before that call. And this is a system that you follow on an ongoing basis. During your next call, you do the same thing, right? And over again, right? This is what we're doing here is we're having our calls. On our calls, we're booking the client for the next call, or the customer in this case for the next call. We're going to apply that saved reply to an email that we will schedule to go out 24 to 48 hours prior to the next call that we have. Now, the automation that you can use here, this is going to speak more to how you might be phasing out your business pipeline, which I talk about a great deal in some of our recorded resources that I'll point you to after we get through this training here today. But essentially, if you're thinking about maybe having a tag on a contact with a certain follow-up plan for the stage where they haven't yet been presented Young Living, or maybe there's the next phase where they haven't yet found their hero product. And then there's the next phase where they have found their hero product, and now we're working on encouraging them to share, right? This is where we would be using an automation to apply a new tag and follow-up plan based on that call. So for instance, if you have an automation called Discovered Hero Product, then you can tag them with hero product found, and then have a follow-up plan where you make sure that you are checking your notes with them, and then maybe getting in touch on your next call to see if they might want to start sharing, right? Does that make sense? Okay, now let's dig into these features just a little bit more for our care calls. So that initial intake form is going to have general wellness questions about their general wellness goals, their struggles, etc. You can, like I mentioned, get into things like how comfortable are you with reading labels and what kind of diet or activity level do you have, etc. If you want to do something like that, that's going to be a great place to put this. Now, after they have filled out this form, they are going to receive a single message campaign. So that single message is going to confirm that they filled it out, and it's going to send one email, right, with a link to a booking page. That booking page is just going to be a page on your Get Oiling site with a calendar form embedded. If you are low budget right now, like a lot of us are when we're getting started, Calendly has a free plan level. And if you just have a generic 30-minute book with me booking event on Calendly, you can embed that onto one booking page in your Get Oiling site and use it for lots and lots of things. Okay. So that is, if that's where you're at, obviously, if you use their paid level, there's a lot of cool things you can do. But if you're looking for a low cost or no extra charge, you can use the free plan with Calendly to do what I'm sharing with you here. So you create that calendar form, and that's embedded in a booking page. The automation, like I mentioned, is optional for this specific system, but it can be really helpful if you're currently using tags and follow-up plans to support those pipeline stages, like the ones I just gave you the examples of, right? Like hasn't experienced product yet, care call journey, found hero product, new brand partner, etc. Right? That saved reply that you use is going to have that link to book, not to book, but to fill out the subsequent form, right? Where you're going to get an update from them prior to the next time you speak. So it's going to link that, and then you can then go ahead and reiterate whatever that next date and time is for your call. Because a saved reply, if you remember, is just going to plug some information in, and you can actually make some modifications to it before you schedule or send it. And then the ongoing update form. This is going to have similar questions to the initial intake form, but I want you to make sure that you're specifying product use in this form. So this is where you can be asking, what is your number one goal? So always ask from the beginning and all the way through, because that goal might shift. What is your big goal right now? Where do you feel like you stand in relation to getting it done? What do you feel is missing, etc.? What are you doing? What's working? What's not? But in your ongoing update form for your care calls, specify product use. What products are you using every day? What products are you using weekly? What products could you not live without? Ask questions that reveal the hero product status, right? And of course, if you know what they're ordering, which you can't see from your VO data, they're telling you what they're ordering and what they're using, you can make better recommendations as to what companion products they might consider adding to their next order, right? Remember, these forms are for information gathering so that you can be more effective when you're communicating with your customers. So specify product use in this second form, which is the ongoing update form. Now, how do we build this? The order of operations is as follows. First, you're going to create your booking page. Super simple. You take your calendar embed form and you pop it into a page in your Get Oiling system and use that for your booking page. The location for this call is going to be a recurring Zoom meeting in your Get Oiling account, right? So that'll be something that you set up to share after they've booked with you. Then you will create the first intake, the initial intake confirmation campaign. So that's the email that goes out right after they filled out their intake form. That's going to have a link to that calendar page, and that's going to be in the day zero message. Then you're going to create that initial intake form. So that's a page in your Get Oiling account. And then under the leads section in the settings, you're going to be able to ask all of those questions, provide multiple choice, short or long answers, etc., for their responses. After they've filled out the form, you want to connect that campaign, that initial intake confirmation campaign. and then send them to that booking page, which was our first step. So what we're doing here, we're not building in the order of what the lead or the client sees. We're seeing this in, we're building this in the order of what needs to be created at each step. Because if you're going to create the campaign, you need to have the booking page link, right? And if you create the page for the intake form, you need the campaign and the booking page, because we're redirecting and sending that information from this page, right? So creating that initial intake form is our third step. Then we will create a similar intake form. This is going to be that ongoing update form, right? That's the one where we're going to specify with more questions about their Young Living product use. And then you can connect this just to a generic confirmation page, or you could just make a copy of one of your confirmation pages that says, I'm so excited to catch up with you. We'll talk soon, right? Because this is what they're going to get and fill out before the call that they've already scheduled with you on your previous call. Remember, the second update form is going to be going out with subsequent calls, not the first one. All right, and then finally, we're going to create a saved reply that we will send out after our calls. In that saved reply, we'll have the link to that ongoing update form, to that page. And then if you are using automations here, you can create those to add them or to remove the tags, right? So if they are in phase 1, we want to move them to phase 2, et cetera, or follow-up plans for different stages of the process. Now, what if you sell AFT sessions or coaching calls? What if you bundle your available time and sell that? How do we keep up with who is where in the process? So if somebody is on call 3 with you and you sold them 8 calls, how do you know that we are now on call 3 or call 4, right? All right, so first, let's map this out, just like we did for the Care Call series example. So for a client call package, obviously, to start, someone has paid you for a package of calls, package of 4, package of 10, whatever that looks like for you. They're going to pay for that package of calls. An email is going to go out to them automatically that sends them a link to an intake form, right? Because you need to get your client agreements, you need to establish goals, whatever information you need to get from them prior to, at the very least, prior to your first call. The client will fill out that initial intake form. Maybe here they'll be tagged with new client with the name of the call package or something similar. And then after they have filled that out, they will be sent, of course, to the next page where they will book their first call with you. So you'll meet them, and then after the call, you will add notes to their card, as one does after one-on-one calls. You'll send a follow-up email, again, pretty straightforward, and then you'll apply an automation, and we're going to have an automation for each call in the series. That automation is going to modify the contact tag, right? So it's going to change them from new client for this coaching package to call 1 completed for the coaching package. And then it would also apply a campaign that is going to send out a link to the next intake and booking pages for the next call in the series. Now, this process is going to repeat through the end of your call series. So let's say that you have a call series where you're going to meet once a week for 8 weeks, right? So you are going to have your campaign maybe send out, after maybe 4 or 5 days to go ahead and book the next call, right? Whatever you might want that to look like. We'll talk about that in a bit. And of course, at the end, as we sort of talk through examples. So let's look at this kind of pictured, drawn out here. When a client purchases a call package from you, they are on a page in your Getawayling account that sells that call package. It takes payment, right? When they enter that payment information, they check out, you are going to send them an automated email via a campaign that welcomes them and that sends them to that initial intake form. You can also send them immediately to the intake form after they've purchased, but again, you want to make sure you send it via email just in case for whatever reason they can't fill it out right away. So they fill out the initial intake form, and then they are presented with a page to book their time with you. And then this star here denotes a tag. This might be new client for the name of this package. Okay, so this is what the initial purchase looks like. You can find them in your system by searching for this tag. They are sent an email that confirms that they've purchased, and of course is going to set expectations and send them to that intake form where they can fill out. You can gather that information that you need, get agreements from them, and then they can book with you. Now, this is what the system looks like beyond that point. So they've booked a call with you. You have the call. Now, after the call, you're going to, just as you would in any case with one-on-one calls, go to their contacts card and get oiling, and you're going to add notes, right? You're going to use a saved reply to make it a little easier for you to quickly send off an email, okay? There's one more step we're going to take here. We're going to apply an automation. And we're going to have an automation for each call in our series. So if our signature offer is a series of 5 calls, then we're going to have 5 automations, right? And each automation is going to modify the contact tag, apply a new campaign and remove the old one, and then send them either to a generic or a unique new intake page. So let's just say, for instance, that you need to get the same information from your client each time you're meeting with them. So maybe you're a wellness coach and you're tracking specific metrics. And so you're going to ask them before each call to enter this specific data. In that case, you don't need to have a call 3 intake, a call 4, call 5. You don't have to have unique pages for this purpose. You could just use a single one as well as your single call booking page, because the designation of where your client is in the series of calls, the like how that is denoted is using the automation to tag and update the tag for the client, right? So you can actually reuse pages if you prefer to. But if you are, for instance, working with them on specific goals, maybe there are certain milestones that you are wanting to address with these pre-call intakes for your subsequent calls, you absolutely have the option and ability to create additional, so a page for each one of the calls if you wanted to do that. All right. And so you can, again, with the saved replies, you can keep that really simple and straightforward. What we're doing with the campaign here is we're actually sending a delayed message. So if I'm meeting once a month with a client, then I'm going to have a campaign whose first message sends out on day 21. So the week before, so 3 weeks into the month, right? We're going to give them the opportunity to book for the following week. Right? So that would be a campaign whose message sends on day 21 or something similar and says, it's time to book our next call. We'll link them to that intake form. And then, of course, after they fill out the intake form, they can go to the call booking page and book their time for the following week, right? So that's essentially what this looks like. We have an automation for each of the calls in our series, and that modifies the tag, the campaign, and then sends them to where they need to go. So let's talk about these in depth. The sales page, of course, is going to sell the call series. It's going to take payment. It's going to tag the contact. The initial intake form is going to be sent out via that confirmation campaign, day 0 message, right? 1 message. And it's going to also redirect to that initial intake form from purchase. So after they buy, the next thing they see is, let's go ahead and get your intake done, right? You can use this, this intake form to serve the purpose for the entire series, right? Or it can just be for the first call. It's up to you. The booking page that you use, again, is that simple page with a calendar form embedded in your Get Oiling account, and it can be reused. A campaign is also created here for the second, because remember, our initial campaign is going to send them the opportunity to book their first one. So for our second and all subsequent calls in the series, we create a campaign. For each of these campaigns, we're going to make sure that that first message is delayed according to your call package. So how far out from the call you are on with your client today do you want them to receive a reminder to go ahead and fill out this form and book their next call? Is it 5 days? Is it immediate? Is it 14 days? Is it 21 days? It's totally up to you. But just remember that the purpose of this is to have a message go out to them automatically a certain number of days following the call you just had with them that says, go ahead and fill out your intake and book your next call. Okay. And then you can, again, send a unique intake form link or use the same page for each call. And in all cases, if you're using an intake form prior to these calls, you can redirect them to a booking page from that form after they've completed it. We'll then set up an automation for the second and all subsequent calls in the series that will remove the previous tag and add the new one. It'll remove the previous campaign and add the new one. And then, of course, you can use one or one for each call, a saved reply to streamline what it looks like to follow up after each of the calls that you have with your client in that series. And the way that we build this is to first create the booking page, right? And again, just as I mentioned before, the location is the join link for the recurring Zoom meeting that you set up in your Get Oiling account. You can create the initial intake, confirmation, and campaign next. So the campaign that we create here is going to welcome them, confirm that they've just bought this series of calls with us, and then link to the booking page, calendar booking page, or to an intake page on this day 0. You can create that page for the initial intake form, connect the campaign, and send the visitor to the booking page after the form is completed. And here we want to make sure that we tag our client accordingly. So this would be new client 5-call package, right? So anybody who is new client 5-call package, they haven't had their first call yet, they're going to have this tag. Then we'll create the pages for our subsequent intake forms, right? For each call. If you have something different that you want to do, different information you want to get from your client for each call. Otherwise, you can just use a simplified version of your initial intake form. It doesn't have client agreements and stuff like that, but perhaps it's asking for the same data that you're wanting to get from that client before each call that you have. And you can, again, you don't have to create many. You can just use one for this if you prefer. Then you'll create a campaign for each call in your series that's going to be delayed by the number of days you choose, telling them to go ahead and fill out the form and book their next call. You'll link to that there. Then you will create an automation for each call in your call series where we will remove the previous tag and then add the next tag. So they've already been tagged after they've signed up with new client 5-call package. In our automation for call 2, we're going to remove new client 5-call package and add call 1 completed 5-call package, right? Those tags can be modified here with the automation. And then you can remove that first campaign that was applied just to keep things clean, and then add the next one that will send out a certain number of days later to remind them to go ahead and fill out their form and book their call. And then finally, you can create one saved reply for all or a saved reply for each call in your series to streamline follow-up email after calls. Okay, so let's talk about how this works in Get Oiling. I know this is quite a lot, and I'm very interested in the questions that you guys might have about this or anything else. And I know that there are a lot of comments here that I have not seen just yet. So let's take a quick look at this. Haven't been doing care calls yet. I really hope that you consider getting started with care calls after what we've talked about here today. It is such a huge benefit to your business if you can run them in such a way that doesn't swallow up all of your time. And what I've shared with you today is an investment of your time. It will take some time to get this created. But the cool thing is that once it's created, you can use it over and over and over and over again, and it'll save you tons of time in the future. Okay, let's see if there's... Okay. All right, Lisa asks, I'm in the starter level of Get Oiling. I currently have 2 lead magnets that I've downloaded. If I delete one of them, will I be able to add a new one? So a lead magnet, depending on what its format is, you may be able to have lots, right? So a lead magnet, if it is a PDF, for instance, will go into your files manager in Get Oiling. But if a lead magnet is delivered on a page, right? So if it's an actual web page on your site, that's a feature that actually unlocks at basic and higher plans and Get Oiling. Let me see. I guess, Lisa, if you could let me know kind of what that lead magnet is, what's its format? Is it audio? Is it video? Is it PDF? Then we might be able to help with that. Is there a video on the YouTube channel about the basic follow-up customer care calls that do not cost the customer, just basic customer service calls? Well, so what I've outlined here today, you actually, that doesn't cost your customer anything. Essentially what they're doing is they're agreeing to work with you toward reaching their goal. And they're going to answer a few questions. And obviously if you are, so what I've shared with you today will work on basic and higher plans because we're using pages, but you can substitute where I've indicated using a page in Get Oiling. You can substitute that for maybe an email that you send out, maybe a saved reply where you say, answer the following, answer the following questions and then get those, responses from them via email. It's not going to be as automated, right? But there is obviously a way to do that. But yeah, Lisa, what I've shared with you today, the idea here is that you are getting answers from them to questions that you have so that you can show up best on your care calls. You're scheduling that care call. And then from there, you're booking your next call from the call that you're on, and then you're going to have them answer a similar set of questions before their next call with you. So again, you can remove the pages from the equation. It will require a bit more of you in terms of making sure you're sending things out and that you're obtaining the information that you want, storing it where you want it, adding those notes to your Get Oiling account, etc. So Lisa, the lead magnet that you got from Cutting Edge, is it a page or are you getting it from like a resource bundle? I guess that's my confusion, because if you're not allowed to add it to Get Oiling, it's probably a page, right? I would assume, like, so if it's in page format, like a web page format, then no, at Starter, we don't have web pages. But if you were to upgrade to basic, for instance, then you can have pages. And if the lead magnet is in a page format, it's a PDF and email campaign. We can have PDFs at Starter, right? Yeah. So yeah, so that shouldn't be an issue. So the campaign, are there maxes on campaigns at Starter? I wonder if that's...
No, there aren't.
Okay.
Starter doesn't include pages, right? But you can do any number of campaigns that you want. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So not entirely sure. Maybe reach out to our team, Lisa. That is, if it is a campaign and whatever is being delivered as the lead magnet is a PDF and the PDF is already linked in the campaign in that resource bundle, then there shouldn't be a problem with you downloading it. So there might be something else happening here. So definitely reach out to our team. We'd be happy to help you with that. Jill says, care calls for me have led to feeling like I'm the teenage girl at a sleepover calling the cute boy. Makes me so nervous. This is the sort of system that's going to take the completely unnecessary drama out of it. Yes, it really is a lot of pre-work to eliminate the drama. And also, and I think this is so important, and a lot of us skip this step because we know that there are faster ways that we could probably pursue what we feel like we need or want right now. But what we can do when we set up a system like this, where we have a form that they fill out and then they book a call after, people approach it differently. They're going to arrive on that call differently than if you just picked up the phone and called them and was like, hey, it's Jill, talk to me about your wellness, right? Talk to me about how you're feeling. That's why it feels weird, because the posture is off. And so if we're using these tools, then then the posture is established from the get-go. And same for, you know, if your mom is your customer, which is that not the case for everybody, your mom is one of your customers, right? You want to talk to your mom and help make sure that your mom gets on the hero product path, but mom wants to talk about 27 other things on a call with you. Well, this is how we can be very polite and say, hey, mom, these are the things we're going to talk about today. We can maybe talk a little after. I got another call after this one. I'll call you tonight, right? Whatever that looks like, you can actually set the stage for it so it works really well. So Kathy, I actually want to go and show you guys what a pre-call intake form would look like. And we can even talk about how you could modify the ongoing intake form as well. Let me see. Jill, I know all those questions. Are they going to pick up? What do I say if they do? What do I say if they don't? Yeah, it all goes away. Everything just becomes a lot simpler. Okay, so I wanted to show you first in Calendly. If you're using a free Calendly plan, you're only going to see one of these that you have set up. You're going to set up a new event type if you haven't yet. Create one, make it 45 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is that you prefer. This is an example of one that I've created. You obviously are going to want to follow, you know, their help articles and stuff to make sure that your calendars are set up appropriately. But then when you're ready to share this on a page on your site, you're just going to go right here to share and go to add to website, inline embed, continue, copy this where it says copy code. And this is just so ridiculously simple. If I come over here and I hit copy code, I'm going to go create a new page. It's going to be a blank one. I'm also going to create a totally blank section. So one column, no header, just super, super simple. I'm going to delete the text that's here. I'm going to center it. And then I'm going to add a video. No, I'm not adding a video. But this is where I can embed a code and I don't have to go and worry about whether or not I'm going to break something digitally. So use the embed code, click it. You might not see it right away. Click done. And there it is. You can set this up and say call booking page, call it call booking page. Make sure it's only available by link only. And you can choose to remove the header and footer here as well, just so that it's a one purpose page and nobody has options to do anything else. But that's how you would set that up. And you know what? I got ahead of myself here. I'm going to show you one more detail here. What you want to do before you do any of that is to go into Zoom meetings, create a recurring meeting. So here's wellness consults. This was actually created for a call like this previously. So wellness consults, I'm going to go to copy link. That's going to be the location. So when you go to, when you go to set up your event type, here's our one-on-one. The location, you're going to choose custom, and then you're going to display after confirmation. You're going to paste in that recurring meeting link. And then you go and you continue setting up. And so this way, when it's time for you to actually have that meeting with your customer or with your client, you're just going to go here to start meeting, or you could even bookmark this start meeting link to your favorites so that you can just go right here and click it if you're logged in to Get Oiling. Works really well. Okay, so your question, and this is, I think really the more complicated pieces of this are this page that I'm going to show you, and then the automation that you're going to set up, or the series of automations you'll set up. So I'm pretty sure I have an example of this. All right, yes. So I'm actually going to look up wellness. I'm actually kind of curious if I have one that's fully, yes, book a wellness consult, application, landing page, wellness consult landing page. Okay, let's go look at this. Okay, so this is obviously a template, but you can obviously add a photo here. You could just have the form be on the page itself. But this is the important part. Regardless of how you set this piece up, this is the magic. So you go to settings, make sure it's by link only, go to leads, put whatever you want to say here, and then this is the form. So I'll actually show you what it looks like. We're getting name, email address, phone is optional. What's the one thing you most want to improve in your wellness? This is a long answer. They can put more information here. How long have you struggled with this? That's a short answer. right? Describe your activity level. And I've got 4 different variables here. How would you characterize your diet? How familiar are you with product ingredients? How important is it to you to improve your wellness? And would you be willing to make a few strategic changes and stick to it for 90 days? And is there anything else you'd like for me to know? Now, what we are talking about right now, this initial intake, this is fantastic, not just for people who are kicking off their call series with you as customers, but it's also something that you could offer to people who are not customers yet. So if you're creating wellness content, for instance, and there are people who are interested in learning more from you and getting questions answered, digging into your expertise, you can offer a free consult, right? And then you use the information that they share here to help guide you on what your recommendations might be for the products that they need in Young Living. So this is lead friendly as well as my new customer friendly. Now, on an ongoing basis, I don't know if I have one of these set up as an example in this account, but essentially what we would do is on our wellness plan, let me see what this says, wellness plan call. This was created for a call like this one. Let me see what's in the leads form here. Yeah, here we go. So there's a lot that you can do with it, but the questions would change slightly for me. I would ask these are again some of the more general questions that we would have asked previously. And yeah, these are just examples from previous. Okay, so what I would do is I would add, let me go back to that page I was just on. I would add questions here that are about their product use. So again, I'd make a copy of this one for the one that I use ongoing. I would maybe shorten it just a little bit, right? Because I don't necessarily need to know their activity level, their familiarity with products, et cetera. If they're someone who is someone I'm in regular contact with. But I might add something like, what has changed for you since our last call? I will maybe make that a long text. I would maybe also ask what Young Living products are you using most often? How are those products working for you? How are you using them? And then, of course, in all of those cases, I would give a long text, and I would require an answer at least for the what products are you using regularly, right? And so this would be the thing that I send. And in this case, if this is our ongoing page, so this is something we send out prior to our next call, then we are not going to send them. We're not going to tag them because our automation would actually. Yeah, we aren't, unless you're using automations, you don't necessarily need to do this. You do not need to send them a campaign for the ongoing one. And you can simply send them to a generic confirmation page after the fact because they've already booked their call with you. So that's kind of the gist there. We don't have a bundle for this specifically, Jill, for the scope of what we're talking about here today. But there are with our trainings with our trainings where we talk about offering wellness consults, you'll find, I believe we might have one like this, but these are really, these tend to be very custom, right? Based on kind of how you prefer to run your business or practice. Feel free to, grab some screenshots in the replay and use as much of this as you've seen for your own setup there. But essentially what you want to make sure that you do is that you have those 2 separate intake forms, one that you can use for leads and your brand new people who aren't using product yet, and one that just digs into more specific questions that reveal to you what products they're using, how often they're using them, what they're using them for, are they in love with it, are they not, so that you can get some ideas on what they might add or modify in their in their process. Kay, feel free to ask any questions if there's anything that you would like clarification on. Essentially, what we're trying to do here is to create pieces that we can use, that we can leverage, right? Systems are not always something that encompass an entire process that you run in your business. It may be that you have an automation system that runs right here, and then there's a you in the middle, right? That's where you're actually meeting with somebody, talking with them one-on-one, adding your notes, etc. And then there are leveraged pieces that you add. And so the example like this one that I shared with you guys earlier, right? This is fully automated. This initial piece here, this is something that somebody can fill out and then go book with you right away. But see, it doesn't really make sense to give them another intake form right away, right? If it's not a month later, or however often you plan to meet with somebody, right? So this is important to have a piece like this so that you don't have to worry about negotiating when you meet, right? And then of course, you use the thing that you've already created while you're on the call, right? So now you can say, hey, actually my Thursday at whatever, while you're on the call with them. And then because you know that Thursday at noon that you're meeting, you're going to go grab that saved reply that'll send this to them and schedule that for a day or two before your next call. So that way you are getting that correct information from them prior to the call, just ahead of the call. Is there automation that comes with Get Oiling? So yeah, I mean, a lot of what you get in our system is facilitated by automation. So for instance, if you apply a campaign to someone, they will not only get automatically the first email from it, but then whatever the subsequent set of emails are that follow, or text messages, those will go out in the order that you've set them. So the answer is yes, but the follow-up question is, what do you want to automate? Because just about everything can be automated with your Get Oiling system, and it really just depends on how you prefer to run your business and work with your clients. And if there is something that you would specifically like to know more about, or a use case that you have in mind and you're not quite seeing how it lines up with what you've seen here today, ask us. We would be thrilled to hop on a call just like this and talk through exactly the system that you would like to create and work on it together. Because that's what these calls are for. It's not just for you to, learn about all of the tech stuff that we have, but it's even more so for us to work together so that you can see how the tech stuff can make your business run the way that you want it to. So I hope that makes sense. I know that it's a bit advanced, a little bit more advanced today, but I hope that this is, I hope that this is inspiring to some of us to at least get started thinking about what having care calls on a regular basis might look like. I would encourage you, if you haven't done it at all yet, just get started with one. You will start to see the logical progression of what you need not long after, right? Like, I need a way to make sure this person's on my calendar again. How can I do that, right? And I've basically shown you everything that covers all of the bases all at once. So you can come back here and reference and watch the video, the replay, stop it, start it, slow it down, and you can set something up really great that works for you. All right. So you guys, if you don't have any more questions, we're going to get going for today. We don't have any one-on-one scheduled. So feel free, you guys, if you would like, again, to work on something like this or even something completely different, go to getoiling.com/website review, and we can work together on a call just like this one. Or if you have requests, if there's something else that you would like to learn, something you want to know how to do, let us know. Support at getoiling.com, head over to our Facebook group and let us know, and we can hop on a call just like this one. Thank you guys for spending this time with us, and we will be back here same time next week. Take care, everybody.